Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome to Tag Tuesday. I'm filming in a new, slightly festive location. I have no idea what the lighting's going to look like in this spot, so I thought I'd sit here and film a new tag. This tag was created by Alan over at Big Hard Books and Classics. I'll leave a link to his video down below. Please go check his channel out, see what you think about his content, think about subscribing. His new tag is called the Going Down in Flames tag, and he described this as books that you would have with you at the end. And while on the surface this may seem like the kind of tag which just asking, you know, what are your favorite books, kind of like similar to the books you would take to a desert island, it really isn't, because this isn't the books that you would find most entertaining. This is not even necessarily your favorite books, but I think what Alan means by the books you'd have with you at the end, when you're going down in flames, is the books that mean the most to you. So, if I'm just talking about the books that mean the most to me, then that might be a different list than the books that I think are the best. So the first book I have that would be with me at the end that means the most to me is my first edition copy of Through the Wheat by Thomas Boyd. You may know, excuse me for leaning out of the picture, you may know that Thomas Boyd here is the subject of the book that I wrote, and I spent a lot of time researching and writing about Thomas Boyd, and my parents got me this first edition of his first novel and his most famous work and probably his best work. Okay, so the next two books on my list are books that are important to me because of their connection to my wife. I've shown this copy of Gabriel Garcia Marquez's Love in the Time of Cholera several times. This was a gift from my wife when we were in college and dating, so I'm pretty sure if you follow my channel you've seen this book and know that story. In addition to that book, there's this tattered and torn and much scribbled on copy of Shakespeare's Macbeth. This is a This is a copy of Macbeth that I got from my sister when I was taking whatever class we had to read Macbeth for, and which I illustrated by drawing on the cover of. That drawing of Lady Macbeth with a beard smoking a doobie is definitely is definitely from me. And then when my wife took the class, because I've known my wife since we were in high school, when my wife took the class, I handed it down to her. And she, in a kind of a really high schooly, cute way, wrote her name on the book, and then she wrote on the book that she loved me, and she wrote, I love, anyway. I have that book on my shelves too. I don't think I've ever shown that book, and I know it's a little bit cheesy, but for that reason, this would be a book I'll keep with me forever and will have with me at the end. So that's two books related to my wife. I should have also shown my copy of The Hobbit when I was showing the copy of Through the Wheat. My mother gave me a box set of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings in this kind of mass market paperback set with a picture of Tolkien on the back and the kind of cheesy artwork on the front, and you can see that my copy is torn all to bits, torn all to pieces. I've had this since I was, I think, in the 5th grade, and I read it many, many times, and here is my review of the book that I wrote in my handwriting from when I was 12. This is a very good book, funny, lively, and never a dull moment. That was my review of The Hobbit. That would definitely be this and the other books that I got from my mom for Christmas, the Lord of the Rings box set. Definitely be books I'll keep with me, hopefully have with me till the end. And they have special meaning because of when and how I got them and the impact they had on me as a reader. Sticking with books that have a sentimental meaning, there's another Gabriel Garcia Marquez book, and that is The Story of a Shipwrecked Sailor. I'm not sure a lot of people know this, but Garcia Marquez was actually a journalist before he became a novelist, and this is actually the story he told of, a reporting story he told about a sailor who was shipwrecked. I got this book from my best friend, who was my best man, at my wedding in 1989. This was his gift to me on my wedding, and he signed it on the inside for me and said, "May your ship never founder." Anyway, I really I will keep this book also forever because it's sentimental meaning. I think this is the last one I have that's sentiment, and that is a book, I might have shown this before, it's called Flight in America by Roger E. Bilstein. Dr. Bilstein was my graduate advisor when I was getting my master's degree and encouraged me to research and write about Thomas Boyd, and he was an expert on NASA history and space flight history. And so I have this book, this history book that he wrote, and it has that sentimental attachment for me as well. So So far, the books have been kind of sentimental attachments based on who gave me the books or who wrote the books or things like that. And now I want to go on to books that are important to me because of where I was in my life or what they meant to me as a reader. So the first book I wanted to show are the complete stories of Ernest Hemingway. Again, if you follow my channel, you know I have a whole playlist in which I have videos about Ernest Hemingway. That Hemingway is to me the writer that made me a reader, and I will always have a place in my library for Hemingway, and I think Hemingway's short stories are his best work, and so this collection of his complete stories is one of the most important books I have, and I would definitely be keeping that with me till the end. Along the lines of a book that was really important to me in terms of reading and still has a sentimental place because of that is The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. Again, you know, kind of keeping with the old dead white guy theme here, I guess. You know, a lot of the books that are important to me are books that I read when I was in college. There was a Christmas holiday, I think it was the Christmas holidays of 1986, in which I was separated from my girlfriend, who's now my wife, and my friends, and all I did was read. And I read As I Lay Dying, and I read The Sound and the Fury, and I really became a Faulkner fan. And this book, and this particular edition of that book, will always remind me of that time where I really just spent time reading. And for that reason, it's really important to me, and I'll always have a copy of this with me. This is a book that Alan and I share in common. And then two more books that I think I'll have with me as I go down in flames at the end. One is this ratty old used paperback mass market copy of Go Tell on the Mountain by James Baldwin. I read this last year, and Baldwin's work just blew me away. And I love this book. I love the power of this book. I love the power of Baldwin's language, and it made me a Baldwin fan and a Baldwin reader probably for the rest of my life. And I love this old copy with the sticker, the half-price books price tag still in the front. But anyway, this is an important book to me as well. And then the last book I have is the first Balzac novel I ever read, and that's this copy of The Wrong Side of Paris. I saw this book at the bookstore, and it's like one of those modern library copies, I think. Yes. And I just saw it at the bookstore, and I'd never read Balzac before. I'd heard of him, but I'd never read him, and I was just inspired to buy this book, and I read it, and I fell in love with Balzac, and I still am today. So this would be, if I could only save and take one Balzac novel with me to the end, it would be this one, because it was the first Balzac novel and the one that really made me a fan of Balzac. Anyway, there you go. That is the Going Down in Flames a book tag. Thanks to Alan for tagging me. I'm going to tag some people. Steve, I'm going to tag you to do this, because every time I don't tag you, you say it's because you smell, and you may smell, but I'm going to tag you to do this too. In part because I'm interested in seeing what books mean the most to you. Not your favorite books, not the greatest books, even though there's bound to be some overlap, but literally what books mean the most to Steve Donoghue. I want to see this from Hannah at Hannah's Books. I'd like to see this from Brian at Bookwanting. I'd be interested in seeing this from Dan from the Weird Book Book Club, who's involved in the buddy read of Balzac's Cousin Pons with me right now. And I would like to see this tag done by, who else do I want to pick? I really thought this tag was interesting. Anyway, thank you for watching. Look forward to your comments section in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching.